Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Tony and this is TC's Outdoors, and welcome to another episode of Tool Tuesday. So today we're going to talk about chainsaw sharpeners and the progression of things as far as chainsaw sharpeners have gone for me. So when I first started cutting, I didn't even sharpen my own chains. My wife's cousin has a grinder, and he was sharpening them for me occasionally, and around the corner from me there was a saw shop that did it for $5 a piece. So in the beginning I was just doing that, and then as I was cutting and dulling them so often, I needed to do something so that I could sharpen them when I needed them. So what I ended up doing was I bought these little grinding stones for the Dremel, and that worked out pretty good in the beginning. You get, I don't know, 3-4 sharpenings, and then it stopped cutting on me because the depth gauges weren't short enough anymore. So the tooth was too short and it wasn't cutting into the wood. So then I kind of had to go a different direction, and I went with the steel 2-in-1. So this thing, I know it gets a lot of hate out there, and then there's guys that love it, guys that hate it. It has done me pretty solid. I struggle to keep the right angle, but I suppose over time I would get better. I have gotten better for sure, but this thing takes a little bit off the rakers every time, and sometimes that can be a little too aggressive. The chain gets a little jumpy on me, so I'm not a huge fan of that. So then I thought I would go traditional, and I bought this file set off of Amazon, just an Oregon file set, and this wasn't it for me. I don't put enough time in to learn how to do that properly, and I don't really I don't think that that's the direction I'm gonna go. So back when Vevor sent out my grease gun to me, I asked them if I would be able to review their chainsaw grinder. So over here we've got the Vevor chainsaw sharpening grinder, and I've had it for 3 weeks now. I've been using it, and if you see the last video when I was cutting with the Echo CS590, that chain that I was running, I sharpened on this, and it's done me pretty solid. There was definitely some pain and some growth in the process of learning how to use it, but I think I'm kind of getting the knack of it. So this isn't going to be like an overall review. This will be more or less just kind of me setting it up. I'll show you how I do a chain, and we'll go from there. Maybe later on down the road we'll do a little review. We'll see how the thing holds up. When you get the grinder, it's going to come in 2 pieces. Basically, you'll have the base, and then you'll have this part here. You just unscrew that all the way, and it comes right off. And that's the 2 pieces. So assembly is really easy. But I bought this. It doesn't come with the stand. I bought this stand at Harbor Freight. It was like 50 bucks. It's just a bench grinder stand, and I kind of adapted it to fit my process. I just threw this 2x6 on the top of it, and then because the holes didn't line up for the base of the grinder, and then I could lag the grinder down through the 2x6 instead of just through the steel of this. So so far it's worked out pretty well. The only thing I may change with this setup is I might build some buy some casters and build a stand so that I can roll it around a little bit better in the shop, and also just to bring it up a hair, make it a little taller. I'm not crazy about working around things on the bench, so I didn't want to mount this to the bench and then kind of constantly have to move around, or even if I just had the base in my way, eventually I would smash it with something and it'd get broken, and that would be the end of that. So I thought if I just had a dedicated bench for it, or a little, this little stand, it'll work out perfect. I can roll it off into the corner when I'm not using it, and it's not in the way of anything. So that's kind of that's why I went this way. But either way, super easy assembly, and we'll move around, and I'll show you kind of the operation of the thing, and we'll go from there. So here we go. Okay, so like I mentioned in the beginning, I strongly recommend using the book for the reference guide. So this has got all the different chains. So also the grinder comes with 2 different grinding wheels. Oh shoot, that you don't want to drop on the ground. So if you're grinding the smaller pitch chains, you'll have the second grinding wheel for that. All the chains that I have are 3/8, so I don't have to swap the grinding stone in and out. It also comes with the shaping stone and the guide. So when you get the stones, they don't always have the right profile, and you just take this. It's got the different different pitches and different size chains and the profile that you should have. So if you're looking for a 3/8, that was a lucky guess, 3/8 chain, you're going to want the stone to fit that whole contour, the whole groove, and I've already done that. I already dressed the stone in order to make it fit into the guide pretty well, at least to the best of my ability, and I've had some pretty good success after I didn't, of course. So I sharpened my first chain and I was instantly successful. Came out great. I sharpened one of the chains on the 24-inch bar, and I went out and cut with it, and it was great. And then I was like 3, 4, 5 days had gone by. I came back in after work one day and I thought, oh, I'll sharpen a couple chains. So I threw a chain up here. It was one of the 20-inch ones, and these chains are some of my earliest sharpenings, and you'll see once we get sharpening this thing how goofed up some of these teeth are and how I thought I was holding an angle, but I definitely wasn't. But either way, so I'm getting grinding and I think I've got the angles all set right. I get all done, and the left cutter had a huge burr on the backside, and I can get the chain right on the back of that tooth. You see that burr right there, and that is all, not all due to, but mostly due to, I believe that I had the angle incorrect, and I made a couple other mistakes during that process. So when you're sharpening the chain, you're going to want to go slow. You're going to want to take small little nibbles, especially if you're taking a lot off the tooth. If your angle is way jacked up, then you're definitely going to want to take little bites as you go, making sure not to overheat the tooth, and you're going to want to make sure the chain is clean. So if you look, you see how clean that chain is. It wasn't. When I got done cutting with it, it must have been a bad one, and the teeth had some burned on, like chaff or whatever you call it, and it was pretty bad. So I hit it with a wire brush, because if you see on this side of the stone here, that the black, I've actually flipped this stone already once, because the stone got so loaded up with stuff that when I was grinding, it was overheating the tooth, and that was also creating that burr. The combination of me taking too much with one bite with the grinder, having a dirty grinding wheel because I didn't take the time to clean the chain off first, and having the angle incorrect, I believe is the culprit to why I had such a huge nasty burr on the outside of that tooth. Okay, so when you're setting up to start grinding your tooth, the first angle you adjust is this one on the back, and I've been running it at 55 degrees. So there's this little arrow right there. Just bring that down to where it says 55 on the scale that's on the back. Tighten up your hand screw and you're good to go there. So then once you're sitting in front of it, I've also been going 30 degrees is what the book says. So depending on which left or right cutter you're doing, it depends on which angle you're doing. So I'm gonna go to this setting, go 30 degrees, and that's gonna be for the right cutter. So I've got to pull that outward to get the other 10 degrees on the bottom, and then we'll just tighten that up. Once your angles are set correct, either the roll in and or the head angle and the vise angle, everything is good to go. Then the last thing you're going to set up is the tooth stop. I guess not the last thing, there's two different setup things. So this knob right here is the stop to allow the depth of grind. This is already pretty much set up to where I need it, but if you had to adjust it, you just adjust that little locking thumb nut here and then run it up or down depending on how much depth of grind you're looking for. So once that's set up, and that's pretty good, and then you look inside here and there is there's a gap against the chain to the tooth. So this adjustment over here is how you adjust that, and you just loosen this thumb screw up, and then I'll run that in, and making sure that I'm pulling the chain tight against this stop right here. That's how you set. So we're almost there, and like I said before, just want it just so it's just touching. So that should do it there, and yep, so we're just hitting. I'm going to go in just a hair farther, and then I lock that down. And so because these chains have already been hand filed, or whatever you want to call it, screwed up, I suppose is what you'd call it. The angle on each tooth is different. So this grind will take a lot longer than every grind to follow, I would imagine, because now once I've got the tooth set to where it goes and the angle is correct, then you're just touching it up every time you got to sharpen it. And then lastly, before you start grinding, you take this handle here and this locks the chain into the vise so that it can't move, and it keeps the roll out of it. That's also adjustable on the back here. You can tighten up to center the chain. That way the grind is the same on both sides. There's instructions in the book on that as well. So I think we're pretty much ready to start grinding this chain, and so then you just hit the on button. It's got a nice light. It's pretty quiet to run. I'm sure you guys can hear or not hear. You should probably wear eye protection if you so choose, which I do, because I don't really like stuff in my eyes, especially metal. So got my glasses on, and I always hold pressure on this back side of the chain here so that I've got it good and tight, and then I just start going down real slow and just nibbling away. And what you don't want to ever see is the tooth in here turn blue, because then it's too far gone. So just a little bit, little nibble. So there's no burr, no burr. That's another thing too. If you rush it, you'll get a big burr on the top of the tooth here, and then you're not getting it sharp. If there's a burr there, you're not getting that sharp cat claw right there in the corner like you're looking for. So, and then I just loosen up the vise, pull that link forward, go to the next link. Now again, you're only going to you'll do all the right side, and then once I get done with the right side, I'll go to the left side. So I have a marker right here so that I can mark where I started. Some chains have the gold links or what have you, but these ones don't, so I'll just throw the marker right there. That's another beauty of this little dedicated stand. It's got a little shelf underneath it. I can keep everything I need right there, the Allen wrenches and tools that you may need. So saves me some, the getting up and getting down 50 times. So we got that pulled tight. Lock it in, and there you go. That one's good. On to the next one. If you see where the stone is versus where the tooth is, see how I'm just taking the nose of that off and barely even touching that back. I had such a steep angle on those that I'm sure that definitely hurts the chain performance. Probably doesn't help it stay sharp very long. Just touch it. It's getting warm, but it's not turning blue on me or anything. There you go. Nice sharp cat claw sharp, not all burned up. One thing, and then that's so you pull that chain through, pull it back, lock it down, and you're good to go. You see how I'm taking a break? I'm not just hogging down. That is to keep the tooth cool. So if this takes me 25 minutes to sharpen this chain the first time, I guess so be it. I would rather take my time than ruin another chain. I'm still not 100% sure on how to clean out these stones. So if you guys out there know how to clean these grinding stones out once they get loaded up, leave it in the comments for me, because I would greatly appreciate it. Like I said, the other side of this stone is loaded right up with burned in leftover wood and oil. That's it. Good to go. Like I said, no burr on the top, nice and cat claw in the corner there, getting down deep in the gullet. Roll the chain forward, pull it back. All right, so we are back to the first two that I started on. So in order to change to the other cutter, just loosen up the clamp on the bottom. And we're going to turn this to 30 degrees, or 30 degrees the other way. And then we need to roll it inward. Loosen it up just a little more. And just take it, push that inward like that. Make sure that we're at 30 degrees. tighten it back down. So now we're ready to do the left cutter. So we'll pull the chain forward and we will get set up to do that. We may not have to take as much off of that one. It's definitely not the same from side to side, so you'll have to, every time you switch cutters, just a hair. So I keep tension on the chain, pulling back against the guide or against the stop until we're just touching it. There we go, we're down in the gullet. So on the left tooth especially, I check the back side of the tooth for a burr, every single tooth, and as I'm going, just because I had all the trouble, and if I start to have trouble, I'd rather be able to correct it now instead of later on down the road when I realize that something's not right. Oops. So, and then we just go to the next tooth. Okay guys, so I'll throw a link in the description for the chainsaw grinder if you're interested in one of these. A couple of tips that I could give you definitely is to go slow, verify your angles, and before you start grinding, that way you don't have to fix your chain, and keep your chain clean, and it should definitely help you get good results. The only thing I do once I put the saw or the chain on the bar is I'll check the rakers then, because I don't have a good way to do that just yet. Eventually, maybe I'll figure out a better way. I have the guide that came with that kit. I have seen the guides that go over the single tooth, and then each tooth, the raker is set for that particular tooth. I kind of like that style, so I might be getting one of those in the future. But either way, if you're into this, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe. 2K giveaways right around the corner, so if you haven't already entered that, to enter the 2,000 subscriber giveaway, you have to go back to my last Tool Tuesday video, the chainsaw bar dressing tool, and like, subscribe, and comment my age, and then you'll be entered to win. We'll do the drawing real soon, so keep an eye out for that. I'll throw a link for the grinder in the description if I haven't already said that, and yeah, that's gonna do it. So have a good day, guys. Take care. We'll see you.